talk to me. What's it like from your perspective? Because like you and me, we're not in the wrestling business, but we're connected to it. So in the eyes of trolls, that makes us like fucking a member of the McMahon family. So what's it like for you dealing with trolls online?
I it used to get to me like at the beginning, who's this Mark and all that stuff, and they don't know, my history in wrestling or anything like that. I never made it big in wrestling, but I did work, with a pro wrestling school, and I worked on some indies, and recently I wrote shows with Vince, so I do have a little bit of experience. But the trolls, they just see this person, like when I first started with Vince, who's this guy? I don't know who this guy is, screw him. So then the hate comes. But now it's easy to blow it off, because if I got more people trolling me or saying things like that, that means more people have found our show, or they know who I am, and maybe somebody sees their tweet and who's this guy he's talking about, and then they check out our show, and then maybe they follow me on Twitter. So it just makes me laugh now, because people get on there and they waste their time trolling me. Like, I'm sure there's something better to be doing with that 5 minutes it took you to troll me. But keep talking about me. That's all I care about. So say whatever you want.
Do you have any party accounts on Twitter?
Not that I know of right now. If I had, I probably muted them. I remember one a couple years ago, but I haven't heard from it in a while, so I may have muted it. I don't know.
Yeah, I've three. I've got Hughezy's Hughezy's massive schlong is one.
Oh, nice, nice. So yeah, I never had a genitalia parody account, so that's pretty unique.
It's definitely a party one if that's what they think I've got. But do you think we live in a time now where marks are getting too out of control?
Yeah, I think it's because it's such a small niche, like, fan base of these marks. I don't think they would have had this effect when there was 10 million people watching wrestling. So they're a smaller voice now. That's all they are, and that's all that's watching wrestling. So their voice is very loud and it's going to be heard. So yeah, and I think you even see a lot of the wrestlers actually caring what these people say, and responding to them, and they like their praise, and they'd rather hear their praise than a veteran give them constructive criticism. So yeah, I think they kind of are out of control. I don't know.
Yeah, because there was a thing I was kind of speaking to Mike Durband about it when I was recording, where I went to this Edge meet and greet show, and there was a queue of people, and there was a guy there who was in the queue. He was sort of staring at me, and I was thinking, I know that guy's face from somewhere, and then I realized that's one of those fucking Twitter nerds that keeps giving me shit. So, but the problem is on Twitter, I'm just 140 characters, but in person, I'm 6'2" and I weigh 220. And this guy was a big fat, and I think he knew that if I wanted to, I could have kicked the living shit out of him and his mum.
Well, yeah, that's it, man. They can say whatever they want on their computer, if you're thousands of miles away or whatever. But then when they're in the same room with you, I remember I did one convention with Vince. It was a WrestleCon a few years ago. It was the one in Dallas, whatever WrestleMania that was. And all every day he gets all these Twitter trolls and the marks and saying all these things. Not one person at that convention said anything negative to him the entire time he was there.
Do you want to know my analogy that I have for Vince Russo?
Yeah, let's hear it.
It's like when he was at high school slash WWE, he was going out with the hottest girl at school, and everyone was kind of jealous. And as soon as he broke up with that girl, uh, the bitch started talking all this shit about him and bad mouthing to everyone around. And then all the dumb hangers on instantly believe every single thing being said about him just so that they can get on the good side of the hot girl.
That's a great analogy, man. Have you ever told that to him?
No, I'm too busy trolling him.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's a good that's great, man. Yeah.
But and the thing is because like I don't know if you listened to something to wrestle with, but it got to the point last night where Pritchard, whether it's part of whether he does it on purpose, but Pritchard basically praised Russo for the 2.5 hour episode.
Yeah, I don't really listen to other podcasts. I don't really have the time, but it seems like from what I've heard, he goes back and forth. He'll praise Vince and then he'll take shots at Vince. So I don't know if it's just shtick or whatever. I don't know. I can't really give too much insight on that, but I know they've had an on-off friendly relationship.
Yeah, that's one of my arguments I always have with trolls is when they say, "Oh, Vince Russo killed." Oh, would you like to hear an interesting story about Scott Steiner and Vince Russo?
Yeah.
Well, this is another from a meet and greet thing. There used to be a TV show on over here called Wrestle Talk TV, and there's this infamous episode where Vince was a guest on, and the host kind of what's the word you would call it? I don't know if hijacked, ambushed Vince, and he started pretty much arguing with Vince, and the guy it was so embarrassing. But the guy was like, "But it says here that WCW lost 1 million viewers a week every time you were there," and it's like, so that means when Vince joined, WCW had 700 million viewers every week.
I think I saw that. I think I remember that. That was like 5 years ago or something like that. Yeah, I mean, they don't really come with facts. They just come with, well, I heard this. Well, that doesn't make sense. It doesn't matter if it doesn't make sense. They want to believe whatever they hear. It's very strange. I wonder how many people in other industries get that type of treatment,
But it was nuts. So about a week later, at the Scott Steiner show, this, believe it or not, a fat nerd. No, you're shocked to hear that, and I'm sorry to spring that on you, Jeff. But this wrestling fan was a fat nerd, and he brought it up to Scott Steiner, and he goes, what's your opinion? Oh, by the way, this is an incredible impression of a Belfast nerd. He goes, what's your opinion on Vince Russo destroying WCW? That really is a good impression if you'd have been there. And then Scott Steiner just goes, Vince Russo isn't to blame for a single thing going wrong in WCW. And he said that Vince had a storyline planned where it was Steiner versus Sting or Steiner versus Hogan. I can't remember what he said. That was amazing. And then right before Nitro went on air, the whole thing gets shut down because of who getting involved.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys that were successful in the business that always will put Vince over, but nobody listens to them. They'll listen to the people that didn't work with Vince. Oh, he killed WCW. Oh, he had a filter. Oh, he didn't write this. He didn't do that. Meanwhile, Shawn Michaels is putting him over. The Rock's putting him over. Austin's putting him over. Foley. All the guys that were successful. And when you see the guys that were in the business that do bury him, they were not top of the card. And I think a lot of them blame him for that. So, well, when Vince Russo was writing for me, I was a mid-carder. I don't know. It's really weird that the guys, the top stars, the ones that put him over, Ric Flair put him over, but people don't care about any of that stuff. It's all the other people's opinions that matter.
But do you think Vince makes the mistake in a way of making himself too accessible to fans?
Yeah, I could see that sometimes on he's kind of scaled back on that. Like he used to reply to a lot of stuff on Twitter that I would have just ignored if it was me. And I think the more he did that, the more people, would come at him with stuff. So yeah, I think he used to, but I think he's a lot better at that now.
Yeah, because I don't know if he still has it on there, but Vince had his email address on his Twitter page.
Yeah, well, he's got a few different ones. So he's got one that is for listeners or fans of the show to write to that they can do, and he's got personal ones that he doesn't give out.
Yeah, because I have a friend that I know his name's John Wangland, and he put out a video. I've seen you commented on it on YouTube, where John really went in on the whole Vince and Matt Coon thing. And what's your take on the whole Matt Coon hate and the fact that John Wangland, who went public about it? Well, not public, but made this public video about his issues with them.
Well, like with with Matt and Vince and everybody getting upset, to me, I just don't see getting upset over a podcast being worth it. Like, I couldn't imagine getting upset because one actor on a TV show I like gets into it with another actor on that show. You know, I'm still going to watch the TV show and enjoy it. So I think a lot of people, not just in wrestling podcasts, but podcasting in general, probably because they listen to it every day and they're very supportive and they feel like they're part of the show, they take a lot of things personal. They get involved where they wouldn't if it was like a real life situation. And it's like, you know, step back, take a breath. It's not, whether you like Matt Coon or whether you like Vince, listen to the show or don't listen to the show. That's your choice. But to get so upset that you're tweeting people and you got to pick sides and I'm canceling this and that, it's just a lot of drama that and stress that I think people just, you know, probably don't need in their lives, especially over a silly wrestling podcast.